A shooting near St. Sabina Church on the city's south side. Chicago police say a man and woman were inside a vehicle that was shot at while traveling on 79th and South May.
Nothing short of a miracle is how the baby's condition is being described, as those that were on the scene tell us that there were actual bullet casings found in the baby's car seat. Crime Stoppers is now offering a reward for any information that could lead to an arrest.
Angels and God have been watching over that poor child that was in the back. I do humbly believe that, Lord knows, rest that child's heart. Please, 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 when you see these videos, don't just smile. Please learn or take or derive a lesson from these videos that you see. It is so extremely disheartening to keep seeing these videos and from different angles and etc. It's just so very, very disheartening. Condolences to Gabryel Ayres' family again.
What would you do if 50 bullets were fired at a car and somehow, miraculously, a baby in the back seat survived without a single scratch? Welcome back to She's Alive, where we dive deep into true crime cases that shake us to our core. I'm your host, and today we're talking about a case that happened just days ago in Chicago, a case that has everyone asking one question. How did that baby survive? Before we get into the details, I need you to think about something. When was the last time you felt truly safe in your own neighborhood? For many of us, we take that feeling for granted. We drive to the store, we pick up our kids, we go about our daily lives without thinking twice. But what if I told you that in some Chicago neighborhoods, mothers are making impossible choices every single day? What if I told you that the sound of gunfire has become so common that children can distinguish between fireworks and bullets before they even learn to ride a bike? On February 4th, 2026, at 1:25 in the afternoon, in broad daylight on a Tuesday, something happened on South May Street that would force an entire community to confront a reality they've been living with for far too long. This wasn't a late-night incident. This wasn't in a dark alley. This was the middle of the day, in a residential area, steps away from a church. And here's what gets me. Over 50 shots were fired into a white sedan. 50. Can you even imagine that? How long does it take to fire 50 rounds? How much hatred, how much planning, how much disregard for human life does that require? But here's where this story takes a turn that nobody's really talking about. Inside that car, strapped into her car seat in the back, was a 14-month-old baby girl. And somehow, through what can only be described as a miracle, she survived. Not injured, not grazed, completely unharmed. While her mother was struck multiple times, while bullets shattered every window, while the car crashed into another vehicle, that baby sat there, holding a lollipop, crying but alive. Now, everyone's talking about the surveillance footage. Everyone's talking about the 3 shooters in black clothing who ran up with rifles. Everyone's talking about the red Alfa Romeo they escaped in. But what I want to talk about, what I think we need to talk about, is what this case reveals about something much bigger. Because this isn't just about one tragic incident. This is about a community that has been living under siege for years. This is about children growing up in war zones right here in America. Do you know what the people at the vigil were saying? They weren't just mourning one woman. They were mourning the hundreds who came before her. They were expressing exhaustion. They were asking the same questions we're asking. When does it end? How many more? How many babies have to witness their parents being taken from them? And here's the thing that really hit me. This community has seen this before. The mother of another victim, a woman who lost her own daughter to street violence in 2021, showed up to this vigil. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having to relive your own trauma while supporting another family going through the exact same thing? Let me ask you something else. What does it mean when a mayor, a senator, police commanders, clergy members, and hundreds of residents all show up to one street corner 3 days after an incident? It means this community has had enough. It means they're desperate for change. But here's what's haunting me about this vigil. They're not just asking for justice for this one case. They're begging people to speak up, to break the code of silence that has allowed this cycle to continue. Think about the pressure that exists in these neighborhoods. You see something. You know something. But do you speak up? What happens to witnesses who come forward? What happens to their families? It's easy for us sitting at home to say, just call the police, just tell what you know. But when you're living in that environment, when you've seen what happens to people who talk, when your own safety and your children's safety is on the line, the calculation becomes much more complicated, doesn't it? And here's where this case gets even more complex. There's been a lot of talk online, a lot of whispers about what might have led to this attack. Some people are saying there was a social media post back in November. Others are claiming the boyfriend was the real target. You've probably seen the comments, the speculation, the blame being thrown around. But let me ask you this. Does any of that matter when a baby is in the back seat? Does any social media post, any street beef, any disagreement justify 50 bullets being fired in broad daylight with a child present? This is what troubles me most about how we discuss these cases. We get so caught up in trying to figure out who said what, who disrespected who was affiliated with what group, that we lose sight of the actual human cost. Because even if everything people are saying online is true, even if there was a post, even if there was beef, even if someone was targeted, none of that changes the fundamental reality. A 26-year-old woman is gone. A baby no longer has her mother. And 3 people got into a car after firing dozens of shots and drove away like it was just another Tuesday afternoon. So let's talk about who this woman actually was, because I think that's getting lost in all the noise. Gabryel Ayres, she went by Gabby, was a hairstylist. She was 26 years old. She had a 14-month-old daughter who she loved deeply. Her godfather described her as someone who valued life, who cared about her family. Does that sound like someone who deserved what happened to her? And even if she had made mistakes, even if she had been involved in things she shouldn't have been, does anyone truly deserve to be ambushed with 50 bullets while their baby watches from the back seat? Here's what really gets me about this case. The boyfriend, Devin Draper, he survived. He was shot twice, once in the arm and once in the buttocks, but he's alive. He's in good condition. And I know what some of you are thinking, because I've seen the comments. People are angry at him. People are saying he got her into this situation. People are saying he shouldn't have custody of that baby. And maybe they're right. Maybe there's truth to that. But here's my question. Where does that leave this child? This baby girl is going to grow up with questions. She's going to ask about her mother. She's going to want to know what happened on that February afternoon. And someone is going to have to explain to her that her mom didn't die in an accident, didn't die from an illness, but was taken from her in an act of violence that nobody has been held accountable for. How do you even begin to have that conversation with a child? How do you explain that kind of senseless loss? And this brings me to what I really want us to think about today. We see these cases, we watch the news, we scroll past the headlines, and sometimes we become numb to it. Another shooting in Chicago. Another victim. Another unsolved case. But every single one of these stories represents a family that's been shattered. Every single one represents children who will grow up without parents, parents who will bury their children, communities that become more traumatized with each incident. The police are saying they need help. They need witnesses to come forward. There's $20,000 in reward money being offered. But as of right now, nobody has been arrested. Those 3 shooters who ran up to that car with rifles, they're still out there. They're walking around free while Gabby's family is planning a funeral and figuring out how to raise a baby without her mother. Does that sit right with you? Because it doesn't sit right with me. I want you to think about something psychological here. What does it do to a person's sense of safety when violence like this happens in broad daylight? What does it do to a community's trust when cases go unsolved? Research shows that communities with high rates of unsolved violent cases experience something called collective trauma. It's not just the families directly affected. It's everyone who lives there, everyone who witnessed it, everyone who heard about it. The trauma spreads like ripples in water, affecting how people parent their children, how they interact with neighbors, how they view their future. And here's another question I need you to sit with. What kind of society are we creating when our children grow up witnessing this level of violence? That 14-month-old baby might not remember the details of what happened, but trauma experts will tell you that even pre-verbal children retain traumatic memories in their bodies, in their nervous systems. She may not remember the sound of gunfire, but her body remembers. Her sense of safety has already been impacted in ways we can't fully understand yet. So what's the answer here? How do we break this cycle? Is it more police presence? Is it community programs? Is it addressing poverty and lack of opportunities? Is it changing how we glorify violence in music and social media? Or is it all of these things combined? Because clearly, what we're doing right now isn't working. Clearly, something has to change. To Gabryel's family, to her daughter who will grow up without her mother, to everyone in the Auburn Gresham community who showed up to that vigil, who held candles, who demanded change, I want you to know that your pain matters. Gabby's life mattered. She wasn't just a statistic. She wasn't just another headline. She was a daughter, a mother, a friend, a hairstylist with clients who loved her work and trusted her. She had dreams and plans and a whole life ahead of her. And that was stolen. My deepest condolences go out to everyone who loved her. Now here's what I need from you. If you have any information about this case, anything at all, please reach out to Chicago Police or Crime Stoppers. Your tip can remain anonymous. You could be the person who helps bring justice for Gabby and her daughter. And if you're not in Chicago, if this case doesn't directly affect you, I still need something from you. I need you to share this video. I need you to keep Gabby's story alive. Because the more attention cases like this get, the more pressure there is to solve them. The more we talk about it, the harder it becomes to ignore. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're going to keep following this case until there's justice. Leave a comment below telling me your thoughts. Do you think communities can heal from this kind of violence? What would you do if you had information but were scared to come forward? Let's have that conversation. And remember, every single case we cover here on She's Alive represents a real person, a real family, real pain. Let's never forget that. I'll see you in the next one.